Good evening. Ira Epstein of Linn Associates with your financial market wrap-up. And this is for Thursday, the 18th of March, 2021 at 7 p.m. Central Time. I'm late. It's been a wild day. I have been up since 3:30, actively reviewing markets and so on. I told you yesterday about the yin-yang impact, and that impact is this. We get a major meeting, a FOMC meeting, and this one was important because the market was looking for the dot plots. The market was looking for the Fed's reading on inflation. We had seen interest rates climbing. We wanted to know what the Fed said about that, and we got answers. And the market interpreted it one way, and the stock markets went up in the U.S. However, we close at 4 p.m. Now think about this. The meeting ended with Fed Chair Powell at 2:30. What time is it in Japan? Other financial centers in the Asian area. Got that? They open. Then what time is it in Europe after that? Remember, when we finish up trading at 2:30 with Fed Chair Powell, it's somewhere around 7:30, 8:30 in parts of Europe. Traders aren't glued to their screens any longer. You come back to America, and we've had a chance overnight to rethink what we've got. So the market starts one way, and as the day's progressing, things start moving in. Money starts changing around. That's what I call the yin-yang impact. A strong day up yesterday, a weak day today. Let's go to the charts, because that's really what we're talking about. Now for the week, instead of having the potential of a higher high close, an all-time high close, we've given that up. Remember, this is a close-only chart, and we're down 20 handles, as they call it, for the week, down 0.5%. No big deal. The bias is still up, but not an all-time high area at this minute. More important to me is that the market went up, made the highest high it's ever made, opened near there, peaked out, closed well under the opener, the bottom part of the day. I don't care if you're a candlestick chart analyst or, as I am, a bar chart analyst, it's not a good picture, right? So when you look at that, it could be the beginning of a trade top in the market. That's one of the things. When I put on my swing line study, I have a higher high and a lower low. The market has suddenly, if take this away, given up the pattern of higher lows and higher highs. What else did it do? Well, if we go back to the day before this, 39.70.75. Yesterday you hit 39.73.50. What don't I want to happen? I don't want to see the low of an outside day up taken out. It was. In the case of that, it often gives me a projection that prices might want to return to the closest moving average. That number would be 38.76.5. What would blow that away is taking out today's high again. It's that simple. So I think on rallies, the pros will sell until that's taken out, and it goes along with the theory, if you think about it, of a reversal, a potential trade top. That does not mean this market's turned bearish. It is a corrective market because the bias is still up as you're over the key average of the 18-day average of closes, according to the way I teach charting. You may have your own thoughts. I can't go by that. When we look at Bollinger Bands, you've been missing them. And markets tend to either like to hit them or not like to hit them. The S&P does not like to hit the upper Bollinger Band. It hasn't for a long time. You can graze it like you did here. I can come back, but it doesn't latch onto it typically. Okay, that's something to know about a market, and you only learn those things by watching the different markets. When you look at slow stochastics, what is the market doing? Well, did we ever embed? So we come here. Both numbers this past Wednesday, let's go to the day before, in fact, and the day before. Monday, both numbers were not over 80. Both numbers over 80. That's day one of an embedding process. Day two was Tuesday, or rather Wednesday when they were. Then yesterday, they certainly embedded. They lost the embedded reading. As you can see, they kept it today. They're losing it tonight. Losing it is not lost. It's losing it. If it's going to continue losing it and loses it at the end of the day, especially with the reading under 79, the odds are you're going back to that 38.76.57. So I'm getting different types of work that is starting to show that. Okay, take it from there. In the Nasdaq, well, we did not have that outside day down, but you have a higher high and a lower low. You are not trending at all. And you've really been hitting this 18-day average for out of the past 5 trade days, 4 of them. I don't know if we'll hit it today or not. Where do I think the market's looking for support? I'm going to say the first support could be that 100-day average. If that gives ground, it's back to the 12,350. What would throw my thought process off? Nothing right here. In the Dow's stronger than the other indices. It's got the embedded reading, not fluctuating and losing it. It's got the pattern of higher lows, higher highs. It did not have a key reversal day. It made a higher high and closed lower, but it did not take out the previous day's low. In my opinion, the pros are still looking to buy this market, and they will until the red line closes under 79. Barring that, I think they're looking to buy breaks and seeing if they can drive the market back up towards that upper Bollinger Band. The Russell joined the rest of the market in the parade. It now has lower highs, lower lows. It did not make an all-time high, but now it's got an outside day down. The goal was to hit the 18-day average of closes. You missed it by a tick. You're basically there. And here, another 2250, 750 might be the number, but you've already gotten pretty close. Lower highs, lower lows. This market turns bearish, in my opinion, on any close under 2250, 750, under the 18-day average. Then I think the pros will have to defend it, not allowing it to get back over here and opening up an avenue of break between that and this market. So I'm getting more bearish themes than I am bullish. In the VIX, as I told you, I thought the pros would be all over this market wanting to sell puts if you hit 1770. I've said it in my subscriber reports and here, and now it didn't. So now you're getting a reversal. If it rallies, look for pretty stiff resistance, 2353 to 2437, but you're not trending. You have a lower low, higher high. What you do have is an embedded reading. And when you have that embedded reading, and you can see these numbers are just staying under 20, until it's lost, this isn't what's important. It's what the market does up here, and I do think the pros will sell that rally until that reading gets lost in there. So you'd have to get that red number over 20. Do that, and then I think something else occurs. In the 30-year bond, can't help but thinking of that dinner I had with my friend that I told you about 2 weeks ago, and I said, what do you think of this? And he's one of the biggest bond traders I've ever known. And he just trades for himself, and he kept saying, it's free money. What do you think I'm doing? And I know, short, 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 and bang. All right. So now you hit the Bollinger Band. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if the market gives back something here. What do I mean by that? You're ready to the Bollinger Band. You can bounce, but nothing's changed that trend. In fact, it's gotten stronger. It's embedded. So until that red line's over 20, I think the pros are going to sell the rallies. And I know you'll say, Ira, it's down so much. So what? What's 1.7% interest? You can go to 2%. Who knows? In the 10-year note, and I'm talking the 1.7 in this market, you hit the 176, in fact, today. You hit the Bollinger Band, you turned away. That doesn't change that the pros aren't taking money off the table there. The trend has been down. That is the first challenge of a Bollinger Band. I say that's what they did. Not all of it. And I think because it stayed embedded, they'll sell rallies until that red line is back, what? Over 20, and then you might look for a rally back to the 18-day average of closes. In the dollar index, when you fell, you started yesterday, lower highs with, if you look at this low yesterday, 91.22 was under 91.34. So you had already gotten the pattern of lower highs, lower lows. Where's the support in the market? Wherever this 18-day average is, the market's overbought. So it goes to the 18-day average today, and this is where you're at tonight. I feel good with that. The market is giving you two elements. The trend had turned down, but the bias is up because you're over the 18-day average. And the swing line, the stochastics, which were overbought, are just coming back down. it's a big nothing. The market's in a corrective mode, but it has not turned bearish because the three elements that make up a trend aren't together. Eurocurrency's the flip-flop of it. It's oversold. The market then made the higher high, lower low, and it's keeping the bias down. Just a flip-flop, not trending right here, as my three elements call for a trend. The British pound, I started telling you I thought you were going to narrow into a nothing trade a little while ago, and it's done that. I do not see a trade out of this. I just see the market wandering. I was very bullish here. I have not joined in the bear camp. Longer term, I am still bullish on those charts, and I see it hovering here. So, as a market technician, what happened? Well, I guess you could argue this high of 140.09 was challenged today when the market got to 140.06. The pattern is still bearish overall because you have lower highs, but I can argue that it looks like you're getting higher lows. I think you're just caught in sideways land. In Bitcoin, what do I call the Bollinger Band? The resistance area. You're overbought. I know the trend is up. I'm aware that people are talking $400,000 in this, but as a chartist, throw the name off the chart. Name off the chart, resistance, trend up, overbought. That's how I view it. No reason to be short, but certainly overbought would keep me away. And whoa, look at this differential in Brent from WTI. This is the first move like this that we've had since back here in March when the market was getting up and over. Do you see that? And challenging. Now you're going the other way on the differential between the two. Where did Brent go? Well, lo and behold, let's take away today's action. Trend down, bias up. You do see that lower highs. Momentum overbought. First support I'd have looked for is 66.66, but it's not a buy mode, not when you've got lower highs and lower lows. If it gives ground, the potential is there, maybe the lower Bollinger Band. I didn't expect that today, but that's what happened. Notice how the brakes came on the market as you hit that number and how basically the brakes came on here. And I make you a promise. When this market was going up, I was saying, do you ever buy over a Bollinger Band? I say no. And I always get the naysayers, oh, Ira, this thing's going to $100 now. You think I don't get that? I do. But it's not that I'm proving them wrong or right. I'm not interested in that. It's not an ego game. It's a game about that's resistance, that's support, and the game's over. I don't need bets. Is it going higher or lower? You got March Madness tonight. Go bet on that. In WTI, same thing. It followed suit right with it. So, is that the end of the decline? That's the first thing you got to ask yourself. Downtrend that was like that, came out of a lightning bolt move, and I don't think most traders caught it. I think most traders were hoping for it, but I think it happened too fast. Gasoline, I don't want to play for that last part of it. Natural gas, you're at the very bottom here, not much to do. So as I look at all this, I'm content with telling you, hey, if you want to see all the information we offer, and I hear my phone there, but if you want to see all the information, we offer a 2-week trial to it. I write 2 reports a day. In those reports, what I try to get done for everybody is giving my ideas with like a Reader's Digest twist. I'm not going to write books. I'm going to write paragraphs. I do a video in the mornings, one for futures, one, and they look like that, and one for the Spider ETF videos. That's where the books are. They're 20 minutes long, roughly, a piece. We're putting new software in. I've been working on it like a madman, and as you'd expect, there's glitches along the way. We began yesterday. But we now know that the time we've cut off between when I end the recording and when I can post it is down to about 20% of what it was. So it's going to be almost like that. Very fast. How do you get a sample, a free sample to it all? Call my staff, go to our website under free offers, they'll take care of it. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a great day.